For example, verse 5 says, "And he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies." The Bible gives two definitions of blasphemy. The first one is claiming to be God. John chapter 10 verse 33 says, "The Jews answered him," meaning Jesus, "saying, For a good work we do not stone you, but for blasphemy, and because you, being a man, make yourself God." The second definition of blasphemy is claiming to have the ability to forgive sins. After Jesus told a paralytic his sins were forgiven, Mark chapter 2 verses 6 through 7 says, "And some of the scribes were sitting there and reasoning in their hearts, 'Why does this man speak blasphemies like this? Who can forgive sins but God alone?'" Does the Pope, who is the head of the Vatican, claim to be God and have the right to forgive people for their sins? Yes, he does. One of the ways he claims to be God is by allowing people to call him Holy Father, a title which belongs to God alone. That's what Jesus called the Father when he prayed to him in John chapter 17 verse 11. And in terms of the Pope claiming to have the right to forgive sins, an online post from BBC News entitled "Pope Francis Grants Indulgences for Dublin Participants" states, "Participants attending the World Meeting of Families in August can be forgiven for their sins or help a relative speed through purgatory. Pope Francis has granted a plenary indulgence for those taking part. In Catholic doctrine, an indulgence frees you from being punished for your previously committed sins, or it can be passed on to dead relatives to shorten their time in purgatory." So the Vatican is definitely guilty of blasphemy. Continuing on, verse 7 says, "It was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them." Did the Vatican make war against God's people? Absolutely. Irish historian William Lecky said that the Church of Rome has shed more innocent blood than any other institution that has ever existed among mankind will be questioned by no Protestant who has a competent knowledge of history. It is impossible to form a complete conception of the multitude of her victims, and it is quite certain that no powers of imagination can adequately realize their sufferings. During the Middle Ages, when the Roman Catholic Church had religious supremacy in Europe, any other so-called Christian group which refused the Pope's authority was considered heretical and subject to persecution and death. One example is the Waldensian Christians. By 1215 AD, the Waldensians were declared heretical, and the group was nearly annihilated in the 17th century. Clarke's martyrology counts the number of Waldensian martyrs during the first half of the 13th century in France alone at 2 million. An online post by the Catholic Herald entitled "Pope Francis Asks Waldensian Christians to Forgive the Church" mentions this, stating, "Pope Francis has asked Waldensian Christians to forgive the Catholic Church for historic persecution. The Waldensian Church, which was founded in the 12th century, was rejected by the Catholic Church, and its members were brutally persecuted during the Middle Ages." To give you another example, the Western Watchman, a Catholic publication, reads, "On August 24, 1527, Roman Catholics in France, by pre-arranged plan, under Jesuit influence, murdered 70,000 Protestants within the space of 2 months. The Pope rejoiced when he heard the news of the successful outcome." So the Vatican definitely fits the description of the beast from Revelation, which makes war with the saints. And I'm going to mention one more detail about the first beast of Revelation chapter 13, which fits the Vatican, and that is, it has global influence. Verse 7 says, "An authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation." The Roman Catholic Church is the largest church in the world, boasting 1.2 billion members and a presence in over 230 countries and territories. So since it has been established that the Vatican is the first beast of Revelation chapter 13, discovering what the Roman Catholic Church claims as its mark will give us a definitive answer about what the mark of the beast is. to Satan. As hard as that may be to believe, I know it may be coming as a shock to some of you right now, but the Bible says that in honoring the Roman Catholic Church, you honor Satan. Revelation chapter 13 verses 3 through 4 says, "And all the world marveled and followed the beast. So they worshipped the dragon, who gave authority to the beast." Revelation chapter 12 verse 9 tells us the dragon symbolizes Satan. By the way,